All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, November 1st, 4 o'clock. Attendance has been taken. We do have a quorum. And so the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the October 4th, 2021 meeting. Could I have a motion for that?
Moved.
Is that Supervisor O'Connor?
I'll second it. I think.
Supervisor
I think that was
Lucia.
Dick Lucia make the motion. I'll second it. O'Connor.
All right. Supervisor Lucia made the motion and Supervisor O'Connor made the second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. All right, next on the agenda is a North American Flight Services hangar at the Saratoga County Airport. And I'll have Commissioner Cook give a brief overview.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'll briefly introduce this, and then we have representatives here from North American that can get into more detail. But essentially, they approached me last month with a request to construct a new hangar behind their existing hangar, which would also require an amendment to their lease. So not only for the area which the lease encompasses, but also they've requested to begin new 40-year leases for both the west and the east lease. So the resolution that would be, I guess, forwarded along to Law and Finance based on this item would be to advertise for a public hearing. I believe a lease of property for this length of time requires a public hearing. And we're talking about amending a lease. They have an existing 40-year lease, I believe. And we're talking about amending it for an additional 40 years beginning in December. So as far as the details related to that, I can turn it over to the folks from North American at this time, if that's appropriate.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm John Zilka. I'm here with North American Flight Services. So we have a strong demand from our existing tenants for a new heated hangar. So that's what we're proposing to do. So in order to spend our private money on this hangar to be at the county airport, we're also requesting a lease extension.
Okay. Thank you. And I guess I would just say from the perspective of the county attorney, just to maybe just overview why we need to do a public hearing on this. I think we've done these leases before, but he's done some research and has some information to give us. So go ahead.
Thank you, Supervisor, and good afternoon. Yes, that's correct. Under General Municipal Law 352-A, under a lease contract or agreement for a definite term, any lease or contract agreement a publicly owned airport by a private entity for a fixed term, which can be for a maximum of 40 years, does require a public hearing prior to entering into that lease. So suggest or advise that any resolution from the committee at this stage would be to establish a public hearing date to consider that lease amendment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I just have one other question. I guess it's maybe for Commissioner Cook rather than for you, John. Is what is the difference between having as I look at the documentation that was put out on the public agenda, an east lease and a west lease? Do we know why we did that or what the reasoning for that is?
I don't know the history there in terms of why, other than the fact that they're not connected, right? So there were a group of hangars on the east side and there were a group of hangars on the west side, or at least one hangar on the west side, right? So I think that's probably why they were separated up like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if it makes sense to combine if it's the same company for the same thing that they're doing now for a period that's 40 years. Why wouldn't we combine those into one? I mean, is there a reason North America wouldn't want that, or? Okay. So maybe the public hearing would be on a single consolidated lease for North American for the airport for the period of term of 40 years. Sure. That makes sense. Does that work for you guys?
I guess the only difference there would be we own the county owns the buildings, I believe, in the east lease, and we're talking about at least one hangar on the west lease would be owned by North American. So I don't know if that distinction would require separating them into two leases, but
I just think the language could be written to show that.
okay.
Right. All right, so really this is just setting a public hearing, so I don't think we need to vote on this at all, right? We just send it up to Law and Finance for setting the public hearing. I mean, we can vote on that, I guess.
It could be a resolution from this committee to Law and Finance to consider.
Let's do it that way. Could I have a motion for that? Supervisor Lant, is there a second?
I'll second it, O'Connor.
All right, thank you, Supervisor O'Connor. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing
This
none,
is
all in fa-
Supervisor Winnie. I
Oh, hey,
come in
Lynn,
on
hey.
the tail, yeah, I come in on the tail end of that, so I'm gonna wait and see, I'll watch the minutes and see when it comes up to Law and Finance to, go over this, because I think I kind of missed most of the conversation about it.
Okay, thank you and welcome. And so I guess that'll be marked down as an abstain on that one, but
Yeah,
for the rest of us who are here, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have one abstention, and matter carries. Thank you. All right, and then next on the agenda is the security camera and door access standardization resolution. So we'll have Commissioner Cook again on that one.
Thank you. So this is something that we've done a few times at the county. I remember doing it a couple of times at the sewer district. And essentially what it allows us to do is contract directly with a vendor for services and equipment for the purposes of efficiency and economy, right? So for this particular resolution, we're talking about a few companies that manufacture security equipment and cameras for building security, and a vendor that we use, Eclipse Network Solutions, I believe it is. We recently installed a new security system at the new public safety building. And the purpose of this is to allow us to essentially expand that system to other areas in the county. And by standardizing with these companies, we do leverage some efficiencies, right? So we can have equipment on the shelf only for manufacturers associated with the equipment we have, as opposed to having several different pieces of equipment from several different manufacturers. So we realize some efficiencies there from that standpoint, as well as from the compatibility standpoint, by purchasing and installing equipment that is compatible with those systems that we currently have in place. So this is not unprecedented by any means. We've done this in the past, and we did work up the draft resolution, which may require some tweaking, but at least, what you have in front of you, I think, is the bulk of what we are proposing to do here.
All right, yeah, I think that sounds good, and I agree. I think the more, especially when it comes to higher technology and those types of things, standardization is good because, again, there's multiple different ways of, doing the same thing, and companies have their own proprietary software and equipment and things like that, and it's better to just try to standardize if possible. So I think this is a good resolution to go forward. Before we move it on to Law and Finance, I would note that in the resolution that is attached to the agenda, this would require a 3/5 vote of the weighted vote in order for this to go through at the board level, just as a note. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to move it on.
So moved, Darren.
Supervisor O'Connor, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Lant, second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. Thank you. And last on the agenda, any other business to come before the committee today? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion, we adjourn.
Supervisor Lant, is there a second?
Second.
Second, and all in favor? Aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.